So again, tagging on to what you just spoke of, another very contentious topic is that of homosexuality. And again, a taboo subject, something that is especially taboo in, you wouldn't think it that way, but especially in Christian Western societies where homosexuality is still a problem, so much so that there are places or states or regions, especially in a country like America, for example, where it is illegal. So, what was the Indian view? What was the Bharatiya view? And could you speak about that a little bit?
Let me tell you that the Indian Shastras, the Indian texts, sociological texts, if you want to call them, they recognize that nature created man, the male, created female, and it created the third gender. And there is a proper technical word for it, Tritiya Prakritihi.
Wow.
It is Kama Sutra which defines it, and it says that Tritiya Prakritihi, the third gender, is of two kinds. Stri Rupini, Purush Rupinishcha. Vividha Tritiya Prakritihi. People of third gender are of two kinds. Some who have more of a male tendency and some who have more of a female tendency. So a woman may be behaving like a male and a male may be behaving like a woman. And that is the third gender. They thought this was God created. It was not a perversion. It was not a consequence of any kukarma, bad karma done in the past stage, past birth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not very clear, although there are myths about how it happened, but that was more in terms of accident, more in terms of tragedy, rather than some kind of immorality.
Right.
If you go into that, this is what was accepted. But it is also true that certain professions were reserved for them, which were not very highly elevated professions. But they had all kinds of professions reserved for them. For most of them, they were professions related to the house of the courtesan, and they were sort of pushed into, or they, by their very sociological arrangement, they were largely sex workers.
Okay.
People of the third gender would be sex workers, they would be entertainers, they would be dancers and actors and actresses and that kind. They would go into the performing arts, and they would also work at the courtesan houses. And of course, some would stay at home and continue to live in their families, and they would behave as if they did not have this problem, but it was not a hidden problem. It was an acknowledged problem. And there were all kinds of studies about them, and different texts. They define the kind of third gender, the different kinds of third gender. And there are different names for it, like Kleba and Shanda and Shikanda and like Shikhandi, etc. And they would define as to why this has happened. Why is somebody impotent, or is somebody not impotent? All the various drawbacks, if you would like to call them, or you would say different varieties of what was their physical nature, was acknowledged. And then under law, they were protected. They could not be abused. They could not be ridiculed.
Lovely. That I didn't know.
Tortured, and if it was done, then there was punishment, as there would be punishment for transgressing, violating another normal person. So this was the situation in ancient India. It continued pretty much in the Islamic societies. Islamic societies have always used the third gender in a very, very useful manner. And
you had, I think, Malik Kafur, was he? Who was a...
Not only Malik Kafur, they had a whole system in which people were forcibly castrated.
Castrated, yes.
And then they were made into fierce fighters.
Fighters, right.
Their whole sexual energy and their prowess was geared to war. And that was one of the customs of the Islamic empires which they used at the time. And they made them into assassins and they made them into warriors.
That would be forced, Bharatji. That would have been forced.
The forced aspect of it was the castration.
Yes.
But then nurturing them into fierce fighter was something which was not, it was forced in the sense that they were pushed into this life, certainly forced into this life. But it was very often a highly respected profession.
They were given that place.
They were elevated to become kings.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.